Kia ora e te whānau. It is Thursday, the 1st of March. Ko te parakua hi tēnei. It is great to have you with us.
Morena, this is breakfast. It is 6 o'clock.
Just ahead, a new report shows a much broader approach is needed to tackle mental health and addiction in New Zealand. Is the new government going to act?
Homes that help the environment are all the rage at the moment, but what about the health and well-being of the people inside them?
The Kiwis are about to hit the track at the World Cycling Champs in the Netherlands. Can our team of sprinters add to the collection of medals? We'll take you live to Appledorn for the latest.
And I'm literally hiding in the bushes this morning, but there is a very good reason for it. I'm hiding somewhere in New Zealand because we are giving one lucky family a trip to Disneyland thanks to our Bright Smiles, Bright Future competition. We'll see you very soon.
Oh, there are going to be tears. Thanks, Maddie. It's 6 o'clock. Here's Daniel with your news.
Thanks, Jack. Morena. The jury in the trial of a former RSA branch president in Auckland will continue deliberations later this morning. Colin Jack Mitchell is facing 3 charges in connection with the kidnap and sexually motivated assault of a young woman at a Riverhead quarry last year. The jury's heard more than 2 weeks of evidence. A new UN report has revealed North Korea has been sending equipment to Syria that could be used to make chemical weapons. The 40 unreported shipments started in 2012 included materials such as acid-resistant tiles, valves and pipes. The allegations follow new reports of chlorine being used by Syrian forces, which the government denies. A major gun retailer in the US will stop supplying assault-style rifles in light of the Florida high school shooting which killed 17 people last month. The retailer, Dick's Sporting Goods, will also stop selling firearms to anyone under the age of 21. The announcement comes as lawmakers propose legislative changes, including a bill to arm teachers with guns. Well, back here now, national MPs are being kept on their toes as party leader Simon Bridges works through a major portfolio reshuffle. The new leader says the changes will be a critical step in getting the party on track for the 2020 election. The big question, though, will Stephen Joyce keep the finance portfolio?
I think the best I can say is what I've said to date, which is for those leadership contenders, they are leaders in their own right. They're some of our strongest performers in caucus, and you can expect them to have strong roles.
And outgoing leader Bill English will also deliver his valedictory speech in Parliament today following his resignation. For the first time, myrtle rust has been found on native bush on public conservation land. DOC has confirmed the fungal plant disease was discovered in North Taranaki and says the area will be closed while the extent of the outbreak is investigated. Forest and Bird have criticised MPI's approach to incidents such as this and say they're failing the country's native forests. From today, all private vehicles will be banned from the summit of Devonport's Mount Victoria. The decision was made by the Tapuna Maunga Authority following the success of banning vehicle access to the Mount Eden summit back in 2016. The group, which looks after Auckland's ancestral mountains, says they want to honour Mount Victoria's spiritual and cultural significance. Well, hundreds are expected to turn out to a street parade in Wanaka this afternoon to welcome home our Winter Olympic heroes. The event honouring Zoe Sadowski-Sinnott and Nico Porteous will kick off at around 3:30 p.m. Queenstown Lakes Mayor says they're expecting big crowds as supporters will no doubt try to catch a glimpse of the 2 bronze medalists. And we're staying with sports. The Black Caps' run of 9 consecutive ODI victories has come to an end thanks to England's 6-wicket win in Tauranga. If not for a quick-fire 63 from Mitchell Santner, it could have been an early night for New Zealand as England's all-round effort with the ball limited them to 223 all-out. Ben Stokes' half-century spearheaded England's run chase as they cruised to victory and levelled the one-day series 1-1. The International Olympic Committee has restored Russia's Olympic membership following its suspension from last month's Winter Games in Pyeongchang. Russia was banned from the Games by the IOC over state-sponsored doping. But the organisation had said before the closing ceremony the ban would be lifted so long as there were no more anti-doping violations. And finally, after famously escaping death by punching a shark in South Africa, many would have forgiven Aussie surfer Mick Fanning if he had decided to call it quits. Yet, 3 years on, that moment has finally arrived for the 3-time world champion who's announced he's hanging up his surfboard next month.
McFanning was a legend.
He was a legend. He is a legend.
Yeah.
The cricket last night was hopeless, absolutely hopeless. Did you see the guy who caught the million, though, caught the $50,000 catch?
No, I missed that.
So he did the reverse cup. You know, you got to do it one-handed. So he did which is not easy. So he did that at the last minute.
Yeah.
We're going to have him on the show a little later on this morning. His name, would you believe, and this is his real name, is Rob Ferrari.
No.
So, looking forward to catching up with Rob Ferrari. Later on. So, with a name like Rob Ferrari, you would expect him to take the catch.
You would. Quick.
Yeah, very quick.
To the point.
Yeah,
He'd race out there and get it.
Oh, yeah.
Matty Mack has our weather for us this morning. He is in a secret location, somewhat creepily hiding behind some bushes, Matty.
I know. I was going to say I'm going full stealth mode, but it's kind of more like full creep mode, to be honest.
Yeah, I recognise that branch.
But you... Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though, because Jack and Daniel will be very familiar with my previous attempts at hiding my location. It hasn't gone so well in the past. People have picked up on where I am very, very early on. I usually have some sort of a big sign behind me that reveals my location. So this morning, all I'm giving you is that I'm standing in front of a bush, and hopefully no one can figure it out. Hopefully no one goes, I know that tree. I'll tell you more about why I'm hiding in the bushes very shortly. But before we get into any of that, let's check out what is happening around the country today with your weather. It's looking a bit overcast in Southland and Otago with occasional rain for everyone, only due to get more persistent in Invercargill this afternoon, although Oamaru should see fine spells creep in later this morning. You're in for a wet day in Milford Sound with possibly heavy falls. It'll be mostly cloudy for everyone else. Hokitika and Greymouth can expect rain from this afternoon, possibly reaching Westport and Nelson as well. There's a bit of low cloud as you wake up this morning along the east coast, but that'll burn off and you're left with a pretty fine day. Just the chance of a couple of light showers after lunch around Timaru and Ashburton. You'll have a pretty decent Thursday along the east coast. Fine weather with just a bit of high cloud. Masterton reaching 28 degrees, although there is the chance of a shower or two in Gisborne later on. It should be pretty calm in the lower north. Fine spells with just a bit of cloud around, although New Plymouth might see a couple of showers this afternoon. You can expect an overcast day in the Bay of Plenty, plus you'll all see a few showers peppered throughout the day, as well as fresh northeasterly winds. And the upper north is in for a warm, humid day, but with that humidity, there will also be a few showers for everyone, as well as a bit of cloud cover, 25 the high in Auckland and Whangarei. And then looking ahead, tomorrow, wet weather across most of the country, apart from the lower north from Hawke's Bay through to Wellington. So over the past few weeks, we have been running a pretty amazing competition, to be honest. Our Bright Smiles, Bright Futures competition in association with Colgate and the New Zealand Dental Association to find New Zealand's cutest smile under 5. And a whole heap of parents have put in entries of some very, very adorable New Zealand children. But we have picked a winner. And this morning, we are going to tell that family that they have won a trip to Disneyland, which is just such an amazing prize. And so we're kind of hiding out at the moment. And a little bit later on, we're going to go and door knock that family and tell them that they've won that pretty epic prize. So all I can tell you at the moment is that I am somewhere in New Zealand. That's all I'm giving you. But as the morning goes on, we'll kind of reveal a little bit more.
We'll try and narrow it down a little bit. So you're going to do the surprise knock on the door, like they have no idea you're coming?
No clue. No clue. So it could go fantastically or it could go terribly.
Oh, good. Okay. No, that's what we love with your stuff, Matty. That could be any day of the week, couldn't it? Thank you so much. We will look forward to you giving us a few more clues later on this morning.
All right, it's time for a quick look at the front pages around the world to see what is making the news. And marijuana growers in Calveras County near Los Angeles are not happy after commercial cultivation was banned by the local board last month. The area boomed when recreational cannabis was legalised in 2016 and the sale of recreational marijuana rolled out in January. But more conservative counties are now deciding to distance themselves from cannabis, leaving farmers feeling betrayed.
The Guardian and most of the UK papers have this extraordinary image on the front page. It shows a snowstorm rolling over central London. Heatwave in the Arctic is being blamed for the blizzards that have hit Europe this week, sending temperatures plummeting. By contrast, of course, the mercury at the North Pole has been 20 degrees Celsius above average for this time of year.
The Taranaki Daily News is asking why all of New Plymouth had to boil its water when only half of the city's water supply was affected by a smashed water main. The District Council explained to the paper it was a precautionary measure to avoid a potential backflow effect caused by a change in pressure in the pipes. The pipe has been repaired, but the council says the boiling water notice will remain in place until it is 100% satisfied all is well. And the Queen has made her first visit to Dunedin. Huh? You're thinking, what? No, the Queen Mary too. The 345-metre-long luxury liner docked at Port Chalmers yesterday before heading for Akaroa later in the day. And passengers Wendy and Murray Dance told the Otago Daily Times the ship is just as luxurious as you would expect. All right, still to come. Is the government ready to take a new approach to mental health? And after the break, we'll cross to the Netherlands as the Kiwis roll into action at the Track Cycling World Champs.
Speaking a language they don't know. Well, I don't think you say.
Morena te whanganui atara. Look at the sky in Wellington this morning, eh? Look at that. It's going to be partly cloudy, light breezes today. You can expect a high in the capital of Ruatako Mātoru, 23 degrees. Let's check out Ōtepoti, Dunedin. This is Dunners this morning. It's going to be overcast. There will be occasional rain. It's going to be just as warm as Wellington, though. A high of Ruatako Mātoru, 23 degrees. Beautiful pictures there this morning, aren't they? Let's go to the traffic now in Auckland. It's heavy from Drury to Takanini. There's also a serious crash at Ramarama. Rama. Thank you. So expect delays, and in the capital it's slow from Raumati to Paikakariki and then to Pukurua Bay. Ka pai.
Righto, let's take a look at what's making news this morning. The jury in the Riverhead trial will continue deliberations later this morning. Colin Jack Mitchell is facing 3 charges in relation to kidnap and sexually motivated assault. Plus, our Winter Olympic bronze medalists will be honoured with a parade in Wanaka today. Hundreds are expected to turn out to welcome them home. More details in your 6:30 news. Hey, Kwana.
Thanks, Daniel. The Fab Four have carried out their first royal engagement together. William, Kate, Harry and Meghan setting their charitable vision for the future and the philosophy behind their royal foundation. The BBC's Nick Witchell reports. Well, the World Cycling Championships are underway in Apeldoorn in the Netherlands this morning, and there's a large Kiwi contingent there hoping to bring home some medals. There to witness all the action is One News Europe correspondent Joy Reid. Good morning, Joy.
Well, good morning or good evening here from Apeldoorn. So the opening ceremony has just got underway for this event. Now, this is the pinnacle event for New Zealand cycling. It's even bigger in their minds than the Commonwealth Games. Now, that's a little bit of a contentious issue here because Australia hasn't sent many of their riders over to this event because they want their riders to compete and to peak for the Com Games. But the New Zealand cycling team are hoping that their cyclists will peak over the next 4 days and hold that peak for the Com Games and win medals in both events. So today really is probably the biggest day for the New Zealand team because we have the glamour boys of New Zealand track racing taking the track. So they are the men's sprint team. That's Eddie Dawkins, Ethan Mitchell and Sam Webster. Now this trio, they have won medals in the last 6 World Championships. They won silver at the Rio Olympics, and if they win the title tonight, then that would make them the first team outside of Europe to win the world title 3 years in a row. So we've certainly got our fingers crossed for those boys later tonight. We've also got the women's sprint team competing tonight, but they qualified 12th, so the chance of a medal there isn't quite as likely as the men's team.
I mean, funny enough, Hilary Barry gave me a book called Where Babies Come From.
Did she?
So
she gave me the same one.
Yes, she gave me that book.
Oh, Jake,
you need to know that.
We used that book to sit down with the boys and talk to them. Now, funny enough, the younger two, who were 5 and 8 at the time, came in and they were quite intrigued. There was a lot of giggling and stuff, but they know about the no's and the yes and the...
Okay, so you did the talk yourself. We want to know this morning what you think. Would you pay someone to give your kids the talk? You can go to our Breakfast Facebook page. That's Breakfast on One on Facebook. Let us know what you think. Still to come, a new report into mental health says a much broader approach is needed. We'll ask the Health Minister if the government will act. Plus, buildings are becoming better for the environment. But what about the people inside them?
Can I get some of your love? I got options.
Morena, you're with breakfast at 6:30. Here's Daniel.
Thanks, Jack. Morena. The jury in the trial of a former RSA branch president in Auckland will continue deliberations later this morning.
Green homes are all the rage at the moment, and the trend is starting to look inwards at the humans living inside. The building industry is thinking about how our homes affect our physical and mental well-being, not just the environment. Andrew Eagles, CEO of the New Zealand Green Building Council, is here to talk us through what it all means. So how can our homes actually affect our well-being?
So lots of things in our homes have quite a big impact on how we feel. So things like the daylight we get, or the air quality, or how warm we're feeling. So when those things are in a better state, we feel uplifted and happier and healthier. So there's really good research showing that we're more likely to have a better day, be healthier, and our children are going to be healthier as well.
Can our homes be causing illness in New Zealand? I mean, we've got pretty old wooden houses, and even in Ponsonby, they're just old wooden villas, right? I mean, is this causing bad health?
So 40% of our homes are damp and mouldy in New Zealand. That's a really high rate. Yep.
Yes.
So we only added insulation to the building code in 1978. And we've got one of the highest rates of respiratory disease in the Western world. So our existing homes are a real issue. And even our new building code is exceptionally low. So the OECD and the International Energy Agency have urged government to review the building code to improve warmth and health and comfort.
How do you strike a balance between rejigging the building code to have healthier homes and making it not preventative to build all the houses that we need?
Yeah, so that's a really good point, right? So the New Zealand Green Building Council, we want more homes to be built. These things aren't arduous. So we know that it's only a tiny % improvement, and in actual fact, lots of builders who have done it have said to us it's not as challenging as they thought. So now we've got 20,000 homes being built to the Homestar standard. That's the standard we created with the sector. So people like Fletcher's and Legacy Building, Ockham Developments are building that out. Retirement villages are building with it every time. Bupa, MetLife Care. So we know it can be done. 20,000 homes is a huge number. And it's also really exciting that Phil Twyford has talked about reviewing the building code, because he knows we can be better and have a better standard for New Zealanders.
Do we need to sort of change our thinking around what a home actually is and what it can do for us? So say our kitchens and our bathrooms particularly are probably very wasteful, but also maybe not that healthy.
Yeah, that's right, Hayley. So we have no minimum requirements in the building code for good ventilation. We have no minimum requirements for an adequate insulation level, daylighting. Some of these things, as you made in the introduction, they're about health and comfort. And with some minor changes, we can significantly improve the health of New Zealanders for a better outcome, more productive and a more positive New Zealand.
Now, there's something that no one is really talking about in the construction industry, because we need many more homes. But half of waste that goes to landfill is from the construction industry. How do we get that down?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a great point. And when we talk to New Zealanders, they are astounded that there's millions of tonnes of waste going straight to landfill. So it's not as challenging as you think. So we have buildings being built with a tool, Green Star, and those guys, they are recycling or diverting from landfill 80% of that waste.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's just the easiest option. Chuck it in a skip and off it goes.
Well, at the moment, there's no cost to that. I mean, the cost is exceptionally low. So our landfill tax is $10 per tonne.
I mean, that's crazy. That's not going to disincentivise anyone.
That's right. So the UK looked at this. They created a trajectory up to £84 per tonne. And the advice from a number of organisations in New Zealand is that we should be looking at that or higher, that kind of figure. And it's better, you can sell some of those products. It's not so difficult to move them on.
Recycle and reuse, right?
I like it.
Oh, thank you so much. Andrew Eagles from the New Zealand Green Building Council.
Thank you.
It is 18 minutes to 7. And some stories that Daniel decided not to include in his news this morning. A group of former Australian soldiers have created a special 9-day boot camp for tech-addicted teenagers. Yeah, parents who want their teens off the phones can enlist their offspring, so loving this, for a short, sharp shock to the system. Upon arrival at boot camp, all electronics are confiscated as there is a strictly no technology policy. Then they basically make the kids just do heaps of exercises for the next few days. Fun.
I bet they just go straight back onto their tablets afterwards. They're like, oh, what my friends do.
Yeah,
I never Maddie McLean would last in one of those boot camps.
No.
Is he addicted to?
Have you not seen him in the meetings?
He's appalling.
He's
I
appalling.
thought he was reading notes.
No, he's on his phone. He can't get off that phone.
Wow.
Checking Instagram.
Yeah.
He's appalling. Okay.
Well, it's become cool to want to ban single-use plastic bags, and a French luxury brand wants in on the reusable bag market. Celine is now selling a see-through shopper bag, aka a reusable plastic bag, but fancier. The accessory first appeared on the Paris catwalk last autumn. Now it's hit the shelves. The price tag? A très cool $900.
For that?
$900 for a plastic bag.
Really?
Well, I guess you're going to want to reuse that one.
Well, yeah, this is true. This is true. You're not gonna just leave that lying around the place, are you?
No.
You are gonna want to reuse that many, many times. How many times are you gonna need to use that in order to get your money's worth?
Oh, at least 100.
Oh, and for $7 a bag, I would have thought 50,000. That's nuts. Hey, the world record holder for Big Mac eating is set to break the 30,000 Big Mac barrier. And he's vowed to continue scoffing McDonald's burgers until the day he dies.
Which would probably be early.
Yeah, you would think so, right? Don Gorsk has eaten 2 Big Macs every day since the 17th of May, 1972.
What?
He's currently at 29,000 Big Macs, 877. The retired Wisconsin prison guard says Big Macs make up 95% of his diet.
Wow.
He insists he's in good health. His cholesterol is very low. And he has a strict Big Mac routine. On a Monday, he buys 6 Big Macs, he eats one, then wraps the rest in cling film or Glad wrap. He microwaves them as needed over the following days, and then 3 days later, once he's worked through his Big Macs, he goes back to McDonald's. Cool.
He doesn't look too unhealthy.
No. The director is saying in my ear, is that Daniel? Is that
Do you
Daniel?
hate Big Macs?
No.
I love Big Macs, but I don't have 6.
You know what, actually? That actually made me kind of want one.
Yeah.
Is that weird? It's just looking at the special sauce.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you know, I turned 20 and I just vowed not to eat McDonald's.
You don't even
You're
have
so holier than thou.
No, I am pretty much, yeah, because I haven't eaten it since, or any of those things. Or I just think if it's plastic, why do you want to eat it? I'm all into junk food. Like I'll eat a massive thing of ice cream, but it's all got all preservatives and sort of, it doesn't decay after you've left it in the sun for a year. Then why would you want to eat it?
Do you think that your ice cream doesn't have
I get the fancy
preservatives in
stuff.
it?
No, I get the fancy.
What about a sesame
Organic
seed?
dairy.
Could you dine on that?
I could dine on it.
That'll probably
I could
fill you
probably
up,
eat
Jack.
6 of those.
That'll fill you up.
Yeah.
Oh, easy on the 6. Probably 4.
Still to come on breakfast. Do New Zealand's drone laws need to be tightened? And after the break, Health Minister David Clark, who's going to be very impressed with me, will join us. Will the government take a broader focus on mental health?
Your favourite burger?
Let's have a look at the traffic now, and in the capital on State Highway 2, it's already crawling at Melling. In Auckland, and the earlier crash between Ramarama and Drury has been cleared, and traffic is easing on that stretch of road. Until you get to Drury, then it's heavy again. There's another crash blocking the left lane just after Ellerslie-Panmure on-ramp.
Kia ora e hoa, 10 to 7 on breakfast. A new report out from the Mental Health Commission is urging the government to adopt a policy of zero tolerance of suicides in services, and recommends an overall suicide reduction target in Aotearoa of at least 10%. Health Minister David Clark is with us this morning. Tēnā koe, thanks for your time.
Good morning, Jack.
What did you make of the Commissioner's findings? Is there anything in this report we didn't already know?
Well, Jack, no, there's not really anything of that will surprise people. It is a report that draws attention to the challenges we have in mental health. It says, that by and large, most people get better when they go into mental health services, but it acknowledges that those services are under pressure. Increase of about 70% of the people using the service over the last decade, with less than half of that in terms of increased funding. So, I think most people around the country know someone who's wrestled with a mental health condition. What we do know is that too often those people have a story of a difficult interaction with the system, or they haven't been able to get the help they need in the community. And I think that's why we had that call for an inquiry, and why we ourselves have launched an inquiry into mental health.
And there is some nuance in the report. The Commissioner says we need to broaden our approach from mental health and addiction to mental well-being, which I think is a wider scope. Is that how you would analyse that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we need to look at the social factors, the drivers. That can be housing, access to health services, education. We know there are a number of other factors that affect mental health and well-being in our communities, and that's part of why too the independent inquiry scope is much broader, because I want to hear back on those things, and the Commissioner welcomed that. And I think we see things from a similar perspective. We do need to look at the whole picture, not just the services themselves, because it's going to take a whole of community approach if we're going to address mental health issues.
Just to be clear, the Commissioner urged a policy of zero suicides in services. What does the in services part of that mean?
Well, I'm assuming that means exactly in those primary, secondary services, particularly when people have been committed. It is the most difficult, hard end of mental health, but the Commissioner also notes that we need more prevention, more services available to those suffering from mild and moderate conditions, anxiety, depression, and I agree with him. We want to make primary healthcare services more accessible. That's one of the agendas that this government has.
Yeah,
it's really important to have a good sex ed at school.
It's critical.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Let us know what you think. Breakfast on One is our Facebook page. Would you pay someone to give your kids the talk?
Coming up after 7 is the Ministry of Primary Industries failing our forests. Plus, Dr. Lance O'Sullivan will join us. Why does he say the health system needs an overhaul?
Kia ora te whānau. It is Thursday, the 1st of March, and it's great to have you with us.
Morena, this is breakfast. It is 7 o'clock.
Just ahead, is MPI failing our forests? Myrtle rust has been found on Department of Conservation land. Are we doing enough to fight off the disease?
A Welsh girl has died from an asthma attack the same day her doctor turned her away for being 5 minutes late to her appointment. Could something similar happen here, and do we need to act to make sure it never does?
America's Transportation Safety Board is investigating what could be the first crash landing caused by a drone strike. How safe are New Zealand's skies?
A new social media campaign is launched designed to make New Zealanders think about who we are and how we all have our own individual identities.
Kia whitu karaka te wā. It is 7 o'clock. Time for Daniel with the news.
Here's what's making news this hour. The Mental Health Commission is urging the government to take a zero-tolerance approach to suicide in services, something which the Health Minister has said would be extremely challenging. Plus, for the first time, the fungal plant disease myrtle rust has been found on native bush on public conservation land in North Taranaki. I'll have more details for you on the hour at 8 o'clock. Hei kona.
Ngā mihi use, 9 minutes to 8 on breakfast. Hashtag My Identity. That is the name of a new social media campaign being officially launched today with a number of high-profile Kiwis already involved. It's designed to make New Zealanders think about who we are and how we all have our own individual identities. With us to explain what it's all about is Mei Chen. Kia ora, good morning.
Kia ora, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Tell us a little bit about Hashtag My Identity.
Well, what it is that it's important for people to understand that there's no such thing as a single identity. We all have multiple identities, and it's our choice as to what the identity is. So people can't say to you, well, Jack, you're just a pale, stale male. Actually, you're much more interesting than that. You're a South Islander.
I'm pretty pale and stale.
Well, you're a South Islander like me.
Yeah.
When we first immigrated to New Zealand, we went to Christchurch, and that's where you're from, and I hear your parents now live in Golden Bay.
They do.
I'm a Nelsonian too, in the sense that, for years, over 20 years, we had a house in Nelson, and we loved that Nelson area, and I know Golden Bay really well. So this is the thing. It's about points of connection, because New Zealand now is so super diverse, especially in Auckland, where we've got almost 50% of the population, Māori, Pacifica and Asian. And if we don't get a bit more curious about peering beneath the stereotypes, we're going to misunderstand almost everybody.
See, that is really interesting. I was doing my census form last night. And the thing that struck me about
you, Jack?
Well, this is the thing about doing the census. I was like, man, this is all very kind of binary.
Sure,
you're either this or you're that. You're not somewhere in between.
And let me tell you, these days, that misunderstands almost everybody. I mean, like my son, my husband was born in the United Kingdom, in Grimsby and Scunthorpe. His father's a Shetlander, his mother comes from Aberdeen. And of course, my parents are visiting at me at the moment, and they're from Taiwan. And so, my son, if I say to him, Jack, what's your identity? He's another Jack.
Yeah.
He says, well, I'm a Kiwi, but, I'm half Chinese, and, he says, I identify with my Scottish side. He's got curly, brown Scottish hair. So what I'm saying is that New Zealanders' identity is becoming more complex. We look less like each other, and I think we need to be a bit more curious. Otherwise, what happens is we're not going to connect with each other. We're going to misunderstand each other. We're not going to really know how to manage students, staff, customers. We are going to have to develop more cultural capability.
There needs to be an understanding of that nuance, eh?
Yeah,
Is it up to the individual? So I can say, well, this is how I identify, as opposed to my mum or as opposed to anyone else saying, no, this is your identity.
No, it's individual.
Yeah.
And, some people, it's interesting even in my own family, and I'm encouraging families, I'm encouraging organisations. Yesterday, Manurewa School joined, 50% Pacifica, 25% Maori kids, 10% Asian, and I think I saw a sprinkling of Anglo-Saxon kids. But it's an individual choice. And even in my own family, grabbing this challenge has been fantastic.
So could I say, is it just an ethnic thing, or could I say, well, I'm Pākehā, I'm a first generation New Zealander.
Where are your parents from? Were they born here?
My mum's Australian, my dad's English, so I've got those. But then can I say, well, I identify as being an ice cream lover and someone who loves hip hop?
Yes, absolutely, because it's multiple identities. And, this is important because around the world, you're going to get pretty flammable if you say to people, no, you are X, you are Y.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say to me, oh, you're a foreigner. Well, mate, I'm not. I identify as Kiwi, and I'm a New Zealand citizen. Yeah, I wasn't born here, but actually, in New Zealand now, especially with the 2018 census, I think we're going to find, last time in 2013 it was 25%. In Auckland, we're heading up towards 50% of people who weren't born here. And look at you, both of your parents weren't born here.
Yeah, it's interesting. So how do people get involved?
You go to www.myidentitychallenge.com, or you go to the Super Diversity Centre. We'd welcome it. We've got fantastic videos. The Honourable Carmel Sepuloni will be there tonight speaking. The Honourable Julianne Genter will be there. There's 1.5 because she's got a baby coming as well. We've got the Governor-General, who of course has multiple identities. She's a great lawyer. She's great at governance. She loves the arts and she loves dogs.
There you go. I love it. Okay, thank you so much, mate.
You're welcome.
Great to see you. Kia ora te whānau. It is Thursday, the 1st of March. Ko te paraku hi tēnei. It is great to have you with us.
Morena, this is breakfast. It is 8 o'clock.
Just ahead, Air New Zealand is pushing the environmental message with their latest safety video, but are they doing enough for the planet?
He made his name designing some of the most lavish yachts on the water. Ron Holland will tell us about designing by the seat of his pants.
And goodbye high heels. Sneakers are the new black in the fashion world. So what are the secrets to kicking it with the latest trend? Atamaria, good morning, Palmerston North. It's going to be a pretty good one in Palmy today. You can expect fine weather. Just a few clouds, a high of Ruatako Marima, 25 degrees.
In your news headlines, the Mental Health Commission is urging the government to take a zero-tolerance approach to suicide in services, something which the Health Minister has said would be extremely challenging. Plus, our Winter Olympic bronze medalists will be honoured with a parade in Wanaka today. Hundreds are expected to turn out to welcome them home. So if you're in Wanaka, get down there at 3:30 p.m. I'll see you at 8:30. Hey, Kona.
Hey, thank you so much, Daniel. The Children's Commissioner, Judge Andrew Beecroft, has renewed his call to lower the age of voting in New Zealand. He says 16-year-olds are mature enough to have the vote, and given so much policy concerns their futures, they have more time on this earth than many other voters, they should be given the opportunity to cast ballots. With us is our Breakfast Club this morning, Tom Pry and Jess Maloney. Kia ora, guys. Great to have you with us. Should 16-year-olds have the right to vote?
Yes, they should. They should. I think we're living in a society now where we're actually talking about politics that matter. These are children who have grown up. We've grown up with climate change issues surrounding us. We're having these big conversations. They're online. They're exposed to the things that will play into their future. So I absolutely believe that 16-year-olds should have the vote. I think 16-year-olds, are going to be living with that decision for much longer, arguably, than, say, the other end of the spectrum. So they should be able to have
Stay
their
with
say.
us. The Breakfast Club will continue in a couple of minutes. And a little later in the show, the Kiwi yacht designer who made a name for himself with some of the flashiest boats in the world.
Girl, you got the vibe, I'm up for the climb. Get up, hands on your waist, let's go. Get up, girl, you got the vibe, I'm up.
That's nice, eh?
It's very cute. Coming up, heels or sneaks, which kicks are taking over the fashion world? And after the break, the man who designed super yachts for the super rich tells us about doing it by the seat of his pants. And you would see people walking down Hotspur with those because, hipsters love to jump on board a bandwagon.
Yeah, they do look very comfy as well. Thank you so much, Tamati. That is Te Karere reporter Tamati Remini-Sproat in Masterton at the Golden Shears.
All right, coming up, high heels are out and sneakers are in. Apparently, we find out how to rock the lace-ups after the break.
Come show me what you're feeling. It feels like I could be the one for your love. Come show me how you're feeling. Come show me. Come show me.
All right, so you can grab this trend by the horns, grab your sneakers as long as they're clean, possibly embellished, and wear them to work.
Absolutely.
There's such a good range now in sneakers, eh?
So many
compared to what it
options.
used to be.
Yeah.
What do you wear?
Oh, I've probably got like 9 or 10 pairs of sneakers. I've got actually Allbirds. I've got like heaps of the,
Yep.
the
Yeah,
heaps of
that's
the
a
one
great
sneakers.
Kiwi
They're
brand.
quite cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because you're a
Love those.
hipster, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Thanks for your time this morning. Thanks for watching Breakfast as well. Yeah, I'm not this morning. These are my leather kicks, okay? And bring the sock game. Thanks for watching Breakfast this morning. We're back tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock. Till then, hey, Cornada.
Have a great day.